CAARJYN as CILMERI.
As showed you in Claare, tashin Greary, Claare na Gael. Smile am COOIDJAGH. My name is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Have I heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
And it's my pleasure to present this programme, which is called Claare na Gael. In Claare na Gael, you'll hear something in the English language, as Nishu Clash and the Riddanachnis and you'll hear something too in the Manx Gaelic, CILMERI, the mother tongue of Isle of Mann, the Isle of Mann. As Bannacht and Urish. Now, the Rev Thomas Stephen has drawn attention to what he describes as Stepney's sweet abode in Maughold, and this was Belle View, a newly built villa at that time, built for George Stepney in 1831. We'll find out a bit about him. Ons Dracula to Mina as Lucy Westenra in Shadow rai vincox rollick, ongi to Captain and schooner Demeter guller on locker. Ach, ta tachert nieuw rinnel tre ta moda gaunsternie as gullal as den meisje egge chit de way KERYS. Well, as we've been hearing about the schooner Demeter in our translation of Dracula, we'll start with the song about a schooner three-mast, a Welsh song about a three-masted schooner. Tashu geisjach rish radio vanning, stasiwn elin, stasiwn en asiwn, viscoler skeliena was dulish alien vanning.
Mae'r llonga bach fi gynta'n ofio'r dymdar ar bwll penrach tan gomant henlongwyr llun. Mor bwysig gan pawb oedd pob smac a phob sgwnar. A'r sgwnar trimast oedd yn ben ar bob un. Mor gadarn oedd hon, mor wynion oedd ei hwylia, o'r sleifio'r caer oedd rhyw'r fas ar ei hyd, yn gwir o'r awel a llithro drwy'r tonna. A'i chwrs am ryw arbwr ymhen pell ar byd. Diflannodd y tai, ni welwn fyny'r nefyn, nid pwll penrach oedd y dyfroedd ond y môr, nid pabwyr a welwn ar dor a lan gyferbyn, ond palmwyr ddasol ar y draed Singapore. Hen ysgwnar trimast, cawn eto godi angor, cawn osod y hwyl a chwiban am y gwynt. Dos eto mewn i'r ddas I hwylio y cefnfor, a thro eto adra, ath drysor fel cynt.
Welsh band CILMERI, with vocal by Elwyn Rowlands, and a song about the three-masted schooner, a schooner three-mast. I mentioned George Stepney. We're going to have a look at George Stepney. Now, he had built Belle View in 1831, but he'd been trying to sell it from May in 1836, but then died suddenly in late August of that year. In a notice offering the property for sale on the 26th of August, he's noted as the present owner and occupier, but then a week later, in a notice published in the edition for the 2nd of September, it's described as the property built by the late George Stepney Esquire for his private residence. It's difficult to judge his circumstances at the time of his death, but this notice in the Manx Sun on the 2nd of September is headed "Extensive sale of valuable household furniture, Bellevue Villa and land." On the 7th of September 1836 there was a public auction conducted by Josiah Heelis. You may remember hearing about Josiah Heelis in relation to his hotel in Ramsey. This public auction was held at Bellevue itself for, as it said, the whole of the modern and genteel household furniture and other effects, the property of the late G. Stepney Esquire. Trúd an siarvéis, CAARJYN COOIDJAGH chitgus a vainstier, va vink merin. A chumme a heen custus ton darten vai, as gaunster nie as gullal. Ren a vainstier lortrish de mean, as de garu, as de corrie. A CAARJYN eder chit na square, eder chit na square vai gin fire. For source the jaulus gin as a chuain kai, as ulju na geistjina nega friganach, gurish arbel ket, treta drochien a weg. For a hanken dunje niste weg fergach, as renne limanus, as renne brebbel and morde, as gael joris scruffe wannel, as renne leechjarne, as leechjaue, schieser a jakai, orit and vinksite. Gelees venne rische glach, henke ridbach, de wei tostach, as henke de wei ulju krauw. Ga dugge berskepeel, ach renne kromoschies, as krauw as kruidjul, as wei ons liedersteed trai de atjem, de dug mi on, de gamelesje, liedersteed trai de atjem, de dug mi ach ons voordeel, de CAARJYNCOOIDJAGH. Well, last time we heard 3 rhymes in Manx about insects. Now here are 2 songs, the first about washing clothes, Niee and eaddagh, after which, presumably, our hands are all wet, hence the second rhyme, och, 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 tamalawen flioch.
Niee and eaddagh, Niee and eaddagh, robberes, Niee and eaddagh.
members of CAARJYN COOIDJAGH with 2 rhymes in Manx from the collection Rhyme CILMERI. For Lucy lend a chiauin a chydwgi benten rys yn fóda, a chichi an sors de acht an geisiach. Strailiam de moer de veli ro enjachtach rare duches de goldrud en tail ginbore. Niee is dremel me gaan shoh nacht am I shiger. Een kledden baart de ridden chitrachelia, een long een stuurus jaachse furkel joris dunje maru, een steedegge konnelt een wheel is crucifixes cruninen, shirwees na meriu enjachtach, een mode, nish elgesages, nish aglitjas, nie het olju genusus cushion son na aslisen ek. Liam de beert na shea son de golde lai ledden skis a chorbek. Ma saw nim corleshi son koshiak liaur, gus by Robin Hood is back. Chalizach ve ro currit de shul na cadla lug shen. As a santashin jit gus jeran chabdil shen cabdil shach, mor saw nish tashin ergi toich de oil hochdu chabdil. The following day, the 8th of September 1836, there was another public auction on the premises of Bellevue Villa, this time for the house and land. Well, I searched for more information about George Stepney. He was married to Anne Tyner in June 1826 in Dublin. He was Lieutenant George Stepney, the son of a Captain George Tyner Stepney, born and died in Dublin. At the time of George... his wife was the daughter of Captain George Tyner, born and died in Dublin. At the time of George Stepney's death on the 19th of August 1836, he was in Dublin. Several Dublin newspapers and also the Limerick Chronicle carried a notice, and this is from one of the Dublin ones in late August 1836. On the 19th instant of epilepsy in Lower Gardiner Street, Dublin, at the house of a friend, George Stepney, Esquire, of Bellevue, Ramsey, Isle of Mann, formerly of the 7th Dragoon Guards. So what had brought an Irish army officer to Maughold, and what was this reason, or perhaps even haste, in disposing of his house and possessions after his death? Probate of his will was granted in Dublin. Now, John Giddy, 1707 to 1759, was a Cornish farmer and musician and composer, and that was one of his beautiful tunes, which was called Anna Collins, and it's from his manuscript collection, played there, found, in fact, discovered, by Mike O'Connor, who played it there for us. Anna Collins by John Giddy, played by Mike O'Connor.
The Nation Station.
Stasiwn yn asiwn sien radio fanning as yn short as you CAARJYNC COOIDJAGH Claare na Gael. Mer yn pin Robert Cytyn Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Ever heard tell of old Bobby Bob?
Back to the Rev Thomas Stephen's text now, who nodded us towards George Stepney and Bellevue in the first place. Then stretch your broad eye over Maughold plain, where verdant beauty reigns in fields of grain. Rich and romantic is this ample space, a kindly soil with a most kindly face. Beyond, how grand the sea! Its waves unfold one wide expansive sheet of glass and gold. Now, having described the landscape, we hear nothing of the climb out of the Coronary to Glen Mona, out of the Doon and the climb up over Balladach, but we move on rapidly, in fact. At Laxey village, light, your horses feed, that ye may with the greater ease proceed, and when the road admits it, greater speed. Well, with another stiff climb, very stiff climb out of Old Laxey to Fairy Cottage and Croy to Quill, the road won't admit greater speed for quite a while yet. Meanwhile, he says now, a short excursion up the glen, along the stream about a mile, and then the mines invite your footsteps up the hill, while in the neighbourhood a paper mill your notice claims. Cabdil Hach, Dior Lai Mina Murray. An le chedin, nenjeg a chlag PM. Oh, ach tammy ski. Bed raam mi an yenu currum J&G lenem, cha gin en fars le noch. Va koshiach brau ein. Va Lucy, lor tamelt, ons gien mai. Kindach rish liam, kus de woog en mien, henk stronige hoen ons ma, fagest en toer salje. Drausjen eigenlijk aast de sledden. Tammy krel de rensjen geroed, de chuljurid liemmed de dugesach, jen aal persoonach ein, as te jeen de rennig lennema chulju, as hugge dun toyacht no. Va te traum, jindesach ein ons bij Robin Hood, ons taios min beg shan emshirach, les unje gwauach, kaartersken klagen koedisch les famlach, en try. Tammy krel de bergsjen er go grein wen no lesjen jolle zijn. Te denje no surrency, she der auhoek. Esch, hjul shin de valje les kuste, niljesig shen vei immedi, farrechen de royal vei. Now this is a song which has become very popular with choirs in Scotland. Written by Rory and Callum MacDonald of RUNRIG, it's Cearcal a Chuain.
Hashinyola erkuan, stjurgar strar pe, a shama kjava tarach, gauan kreim na mare, hagu erku, hayama kumal roye, skatjenyu. Queen Orion, avur hai kyun, hai fiai, hai parshin, hai aven, hai cheayrt, hai gawas of his story. Laxey hashin tau Sganyela kiaull Belle Token shoh token ra Kusenai shin yastadown Hamindul Not a viste grianto for He had me sturig near No wish Cearcal O Cearcal Gebracht die Etchende Lum gemacht Gavenier Van de Hoshiken
RUNRIG with the song Cearcal, a song written by the brothers Rory and Callum MacDonald of the band, the founder members of the band. Van a CAARJYN lend al bain drosh Terry Walder, va Lucy ski the jarrow. As we find snauwer soel de lie geleers oddachshin. Ach, Henk en CILMERI stiach on. As ren benaisje Westenra braich jay de hannachten son shiver. For caga de lureg Lucy is empeen lesje willier jonach. Ta fissem de rawi na caga cry mahoneen as de mish duddle de lure. Liam laenjach. De lizak na aspitten chit COOIDJAGH as jinnure den ach de jenten brastel na de churuten, nevel goil shibber, crea bi gegiant en quirre, as oxen be fis, tret am rein egg as ski. Ta Lucy na cadla, as tar nennel de mila. Ta na smooth dag na liegen an ek na vis CAARJYN, as te gian, o chomillish. Ma henk mansje homewood de vei graia gurry as fagany inrich en sa CILMERI, ta mi gindes cree jarach de rawe fagany nish. Ne shartans jane ochter en mren no, kortayach der I no. The neighbourhood we're in is that of old Laxey village down at the shore. In floods which affected Laxey in recent years, whatever had been swept down the river in spate after sudden heavy rainfall jammed to back up the river behind it and overflow its banks. That jam the last time occurred around the shell of what had been a hydroelectric plant for the Laxey and Ramsey Coast Electric Railway, and that has since been demolished. However, before the tramways took it over, this particular construction had driven the paper mill, which the Rev Stephen has referred to. And the paper mill itself had been developed by a man called William Walker from an earlier building, a spinning mill. There was a notice in the Manx Advertiser in November 1820 that William Walker has rented the large spinning mill situate on the Laxey River, which he intends speedily to convert into a paper mill, and expects to be able to supply the public with Manx manufactured paper of a good quality and on the most moderate terms. So that's the paper mill in the neighbourhood that the Rev Stephen has referred us to. Now, this is a song. We heard a version of it a month or two ago. This is a 1948 recording by Breton singer Mona KERYS, and the lyrics are by Jean-Baptiste Théodore Marie Botrel, 1868 to 1925. And he wrote them about a girl from Paimpol in his native Brittany. The song is called La Paimpolaise, and as I say, this is a 1948 recording by Mona KERYS.
Quittant ses genêts et sa lande, quand le breton se fait marin, en allant aux pêches d'Islande, voici quel est le doux refrain que le pauvre gars fredonne tout bas. J'aime Paimpol et sa falaise, son église et son grand pardon. J'aime surtout la Paimpolaise qui m'attend au pays breton. Le brave Islandais sans murmure jette la ligne et le harpon, puis dans un relent de saumure il se couche dans l'entrepont, et le pauvre gars soupire tout bas. Je serions bien mieux à mon aise devant un joli peu d'ajonc, en pensant à ma Paimpolaise qui m'attend au pays breton. Mais souvent l'océan qu'il dompte se réveille lâche et cruel. Le jour venu quand on se compte, bien des noms manquent à l'appel, et le pauvre gars fredonne tout bas. Pour aider la flotte française, comme il faut plus d'un moussaillon, j'en fronte deux à ma Paimpolaise en rentrant au pays breton. Puis quand la vague le désigne, l'appelant de sa grosse voix, le brave Islandais se résigne en faisant un signe de croix, et le pauvre gars, quand vient le trépas, serrant la médaille qu'il baise, glisse dans l'océan sans fond, en pensant à sa Paimpolaise qu'il attend au pays breton.
Mona KERYS, a singer from Bode in Brittany. She also sang in Breton. Théodore Botrel, the lyricist, was a native Gallo speaker from Dinan in Brittany. He wrote songs in standard French, as we heard there, but he also learned Breton, in fact. Well, the Reverend Stephen suggests we go uphill to look at Laxey's mines. Earliest accounts suggest mining started in Laxey in the early 1780s, so by the time of our poem in 1832 there'd been half a century of what seems to have been exploratory work, and at least for the first 40 years anyway, picking up more commercially probably from the early 1820s. And, says the Reverend Stephen, from foot of Sgwner look down and be delighted with the fall of mountain river flowing down the dale, until, returning, you retrace the vale to the small harbour of a spacious bay. Next take your musing, contemplative way. Here herring boats are wont to come in shoals, and smacks arrive from Whitehaven with coals, whate'er, in short, the commerce of the trade. It is but small, and 'twere a dull tirade to say the most of it. De lizach kid ve courage son Danias mren de fagen a chelia tre cadla rosh me visit CAARJYN refusa as CILMERI. As tammy sheen nach gin a ven no ingelach a heen se ach tammy sheen nach gin a ven no ingelach a heen se tre a hit de hayach a jay. Nish is heen CAARJYN refusa. As job my near genius. De put de CAARJYN an shen. Tammy chum manre noch no de wel Lucy Jean de vein a share. Tammy krael de fear de wel I gint leschen wore smuek, as de welschen reirish na dolly de nek lesh dremel. Vaiden ledden vanre de rau fissem, de wel Jonathan, de gingy banachers kummele. An chid la jeg mi lunesen 3 a.m. G lan rish, gin savin nish, ma saw cat de maid au screw. Ta mi ro wurich de chadla. Va lid an adventure ein, lid an tacher dan geishach. Hutch cadla orm gelees ram mi doene miljor lai. Dal tajimach, hek mi de vei len rouche, as ren mi saisus. Well, we heard Mona KERYS recorded in 1948, but we went back there to 1922 with a recording made in New York by great Sligo fiddler Michael Coleman with John Muller on piano.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Showed you the Jaru Station and Ashun Radio Vanim, she Claare na Gael to the Clash and Cartnish, Mish Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Did the other hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Va kiel grene de haalorm, as pert de enjacht an de falmud me gietemoem. Storige van schemer. Me saw dat mi fagen liabi Lucy. Ren mi snauw hall. As ren mi lachte son. Van liavi, vollem. Dodge mi faden, as hoer mi maag na raui se chemer. Van dorre stunt, a geraui voor glas, maar we vege jem. Va im neem, me gaan doeste a voir, as ish na stinge na verkagen a gerrig. Me saw, hogt mi moem pert de eaddagh, as ren mi urlu de hierai. Gouds van mi vergelen schemer. Henke dau foddy de gin a needdagh vi kiaull, CAARJYN dau me gaan een gerelaastig ach ek. Ver koet schemerach koei stai, goen moei. Va koet schemerach as goen en yes ons na innedenok. Puis da gee doort mi rumpien, ga dat die wij vader soel, as ish inrichen sa goen nie ek. Ren mi rai shies na griechen, as jich mi sa chemer hai. Leave this rugged place, says the Reverend Stephen, and toward the town of Douglas turn your face, and as you go, enjoy the rural view. Well, again, he says nothing of the steep climb out of old Laxey itself, or out of Baldrine after that, and then taking the coast road, the long haul out of Groudle. Then, he says, to the country bid a kind adieu. There's nothing worthy your attention now. So that's a bit of a dismissal of the south part of London and the north of Onken. Anyway, there's nothing worthy your attention now, until, he says, you come in sight of Balnahow. Now, Balnahow was where Anthony Dunlop was tenant farmer before buying Ballakilly in Moraun, which he renamed Ellerslie. Well, from Banks Howe, if the Balnahow was owned by Mr. Banks, we go down the Butt and up again into Onken village. And as the Reverend Stephen describes that, this side the steep arises a fine spire, which every man of taste must I admire. Well, that's a rather rose-tinted view of St. Peter's Church spire in Onken, I'd have thought, but there we are. Thence along shore your distant view extend, and beautiful it is to the bay end. Now here's a Welsh band, Pererin, and they have a happy symphony for us. And that was Symphony Lawen, Happy Symphony, a song by Welsh band from Ynys Môn, the Isle of Anglesey, Pererin, led by Arfon Wyn, singing and playing the guitar. Drive to the right, and mark the villa neat of ancient Bemaheg, the Deemster's seat, unique in fashion, of commodious size. Around it pleasure grounds, a paradise. Well, Bemaheg may have been an ancient holding, but Bemaheg House, as it was, had been bought by the Heywood family, I think the 1780s, late 1700s anyway, but it was only developed by Deemster John Joseph Heywood between 1820 and 1830, so newly developed at the time of this poem. Later, of course, the house was further developed as Government House. Passing over the old bridge in the dip, at that time, which the TT course still uses, of course, now known as Governor's Bridge, and up on the right there is Glencrutchery. Next is Glencrutchery, a modest manse and handsome. So Glencrutchery House is above the bridge there, and the Glencrutchery itself below the bridge is now called Summerhill Glen. That gives you an idea of where we are. Make your quadrupeds advance, and down upon the plains of Portashee fix your exploring and delighted eye. Then to the town your goal proceed at leisure, and every object which you see gives pleasure, as by the quarter-bridge you sweep along. Here ends at length the burden of my song. CAARJYN Esh, ich me ons olje na shamer and farslit satai, lesh al the guest the COOIDJAGH CORYJAGH ons machri. Verjere, renk me doris a halje, as hoor me maag, drawe farslit. Grawe farslit te leen, a graw sniggen doris glache. Tan lucht taike relach ons korren doris glas de chulju ma so va alem, drawe Jean draw Lucy engel maag maar wie. Graw tre de smunje na de stagert, ren al njau wachtel, ro weinsterach, dolle maag ulju na min fointjen. Gauw me filjeg woer rom, as ren me rai maag. Van glag boelen nen, gouds wa me se gorren, as grauw peger bi ons schilje. Ren me rai, risjen den toei, a gedat me fagen monne bi, jane gomme ben van me Cearcal rish. Eg oer een hier skinne challu, jich me herrische furt, gus een jaar, as Cearcal is, na al, a semus CAARJYN. Now this coming Tuesday evening, the 20th of September at 7:30, you can go along to the RUNRIG Arts Centre for the official launch of the album, recorded in that very place by Ruth Keggin and Rachel Hare. Here they are with a song from the album Lothan. It's Annie Kissack's Vuddy Veg.
Vuddy veg, lianu mochri, jig machasan anyaga bojulani, shina merskian kana hasten vohu, shanka fodura jinu jinju. Vuddy veg, shin thou the lau venes briach ten erelacto, ten red castellia vi filia tretos vi, shula me red mat hochiri machri. Vuddy veg, be merach bram, nach jegen chriensus risha teavora hel, ni enfanogas as ni uroye, astach lai mishta hoi rishunach Vuddy veg, stiacham staljavi, Saucheras blais he calma potavi, Judai the hulian don traishistachyon, as gau the eshan stachrania vegchan.
Rachel Hare on harp and Ruth Keggin singing the lullaby written by Annie Kissack, Vuddy Veg. And you can hear that and other pieces from the album at 7:30 this Tuesday evening, the 20th of September, in the RUNRIG Arts Centre. the gin and fag and Lucy sarai vinkain. For east len Gael on. Les bodulan trauma du rai rocherie. Ren diorama shalidach the holisid just the scadu. Chaus renad shola sha. Rish tullacht na ghe. Gedod mi fag and beg. Chauds ren scadu bodjul dollamach kiel wurre as ulium agitamoy. Well, there are other facts and figures of distances and fares given as an appendix to A Poetical Guide to the Isle of Mann by the Rev Thomas Stephen, published in 1832. However, as he said there, here ends at length the burden of my song. Well, some of the things he wrote about so matter-of-factly in 1932 required a bit of explanation as we went through them, so it's a very interesting historical text. As a sentashin chit gusjera a Claare shorish. In just a few minutes, you can join Alex Brindley and chill out between 7 and 9 here on Manx Radio, and then at 9, Judith Lay will be here to present Sundown. We close with more music by Mike O'Connor from the manuscript of about 1740, the elegant and beautiful work of John Giddy from Kay in Cornwall, not far from Truro. Ach, Shene, and so until the next time, this is Robert Cutin Carswell, Robert the Carslach.
Our Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night. Eve, I'm a creario, as orserlie, as my yeri and shed you will you.